So at first I would like to ask you what are the causes of the dramatic increase in the number of foreign fighters who come to join the Islamic State from European countries, why it happens now, and I'm interested if the spreading ideology of the Islamic State is the only underlying cause for that.
Well, this is $100 question. I think that basically currently, and comparing to Al-Qaeda, ISIS squeezes Islamist extremism out from Europe and uses it as a fighter force in the region of Levante and Iraq and Syria. So this is the major difference, because their ambition probably is not global, but regional, to influence world of Islam. And this is the difference. And the underlying incentives or push factors for those going to join Islamic State, I think it's difficult. There are several studies, like in Germany, and I think that mostly these are people not very successful in European society, and people looking for, let's say, new identity, ISIS fighter. So they burn their past and they bring their new identity connected to ISIS.
So my next question goes, how do you see the future of European Muslim communities? How is possible to prevent young European Muslims from radicalization into militant Islamism?
Well, it's I think, big challenge to European societies to look for cohesion and integration of these youngsters. I think not necessarily we should speak about communities unless they get to be outcasted or to be radicalized by Islam. And comparing to numbers, which is approximately 23-24 millions of Muslims long-term settled in Europe, most of them with European passports, nationalities. The numbers are not as high as one can get the picture from media. Because obviously everybody is speaking about failures of integration, and being sociologist by background, I'm looking for more detailed, structured information. Anyway, with such a huge immigration coming to Europe now, it will not be free of sort of difficulties, hardships, because not everybody will be successful. We are, I mean, former Soviet bloc countries, we know how hard was the, let's say, adaptation for new environment of labor market, economies, freedom, expression, etc. And it was difficult for us, and I would say we were somewhat culturally closer to European standard. So for these coming from Syria, Iraq, will be really tough tasks. And determination by escaping for life from war zone can keep people going in this older generation of parents. Youngsters will look for equal opportunities, definitely.
What should Europe do in order to provide security for its citizens? What's your opinion?
Security for Europe, you mean?
Yes, security, internal security of Europe. What should Europe do to provide for its own security?
I see the more significant external security for Europe, because we are not used to insecurity or even wars being fought on our borders, speaking about Ukraine, speaking about Mediterranean region. Internal security. Well, I had recently meeting with Nigerian soldiers, and we were talking about Boko Haram, which is Islamic State sort of sibling. And they produced one very important idea. They said to defeat them by military is relatively easy, but to keep those people who came to fight for Boko Haram integrated in societies means long-term build-up of social cohesion and social quality of life. And I think that internal security of Europe will be strengthened mainly by really cohesion and integration, even of those newcomers from North Africa region. As far as it's external, we have to learn how to live without Americans. Definitely, because it looks United States are able to support by Air Force, by everything, but they are not ready and they are not willing to fight our wars. And due to new development in the area of energy on the US market, they are no more tied to the Middle East oil resources and gas resources, and I think this is the most difficult task facing European Union, how to build up defense, because it's not about bringing together military capabilities. EU currently does not have any sort of administrative or political mechanism strong enough to decide, okay, we go and we fight. EU is completely on the opposite sides of power, diplomacy, etc.
Can you assess how serious danger to the internal security of the European Union the militant Islamism really poses?
Well, I know it's a very common question, but I think it's a wrong question. If we are true, as I said, currently Islamic State basically squeezes out those really militant from Europe, and they go and they fight and they die in Daesh's interest. So basically, current situation is pushing militants out from Europe. We should care about those European citizens coming back, if they come back from Islamic State, and we should take care about their activities, because recently we saw few accidents of those. Otherwise, I think we will face more likely very isolated extremist activities of individuals, as we saw recently in French train, rather than organized Islamic group military action.
And my last question, do you think that the conference on internal security issues is important nowadays?
Well, we need a debate. I mean, in Czech Republic, the debate over Islamic State, at least for two reasons. One is that it's a new phenomena, and even for people from, let's say, security community, it's difficult to find consensus on some of the features and some of the major questions. And it holds even for the intelligence community. And second, Czech public, Czech society is facing, at least in media currently, huge immigration waves. And their feeling is that because it is produced by activities of Islamic State, that those immigrants represent militant Islam. And we should talk about the difference between people living in Islam and Islamists, because these are mostly people escaping from the violence, from the war zone, etc. So there is a lot of emotion, a lot of fear, and lack of information. So we need to start debate, and I consider this conference to be certainly launch or significant step in this public debate to spread knowledge and facts about Islamic State.